Welcome to First Touch 26, our daily group therapy session as we head towards another World Cup semifinal. A day without World Cup soccer. It is a sad one for everyone. But we're here to talk about all the biggest stories around the global game, as well as get you ready for the biggest game of the year, France versus Spain. I, of course, am David Gass. We are going to dig into that France-Spain game. Coming up, we're going to talk about some reports around an even bigger World Cup potentially in the future, as well as some big-time coaching announcements that have happened across the international game. And to do so with me, who else but Michele Giannone. Michele, there's some good news in here for you as well. You found a way to insert Italy into the conversation, even when you don't make the World Cup.
Every day.
Every day. Somehow.
But it's good news. It's great news.
I was looking at one of the stats that said, based off FIFA rankings, which are not super accurate.
You think?
Argentina has had the easiest path to a World Cup final since Germany in 2002, and then Italy in 2006 was second easiest. So
I'm going to say something that I never thought I will say. I'm proud of people in the comments of our social media, on Instagram and on YouTube.
Okay.
There were a couple of comments of the clip about us talking that this Argentina is not as good as 2022, 2024. And there are a couple of comments of people, I'm Argentinian, and I agree. It made my day. It made my weekend. It was beautiful.
You never thought it would happen. You never thought the day would come. We are always proud of all of the people in the comments for our shows.
But that was extra special.
Currently shouting out my Vermont Green jersey. Vermont Green's women's side is going to the USLW final out in Seattle against Salmon Bay FC. So very excited for that. And the Vermont Green men's side has won their regional championship. So they are going to be hosting a playoff game coming up. Championship City, baby, Burlington, Vermont. It is known for its rings culture. Okay, as I said, we've got a lot to talk about. We are very excited. Susanna will be back with us tomorrow. We are going to be doing a post-game show, reminder. So we're going to be coming live directly after the game finishes between France and Spain. We'll talk about everything going on in that game. Doyle will be with us as well. And then we will do your preview for the England-Argentina game at the end of that so that you have the full day to sort of consume that one and think about that game as we head into the Wednesday afternoon game. As Michele mentioned last time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. local time for some of these games. Actually, the one in Texas is technically 2 p.m. local time on a weekday for a World Cup semifinal, because this is what we do. So, Michele, for now, this is your last show with us. It's been incredible. We've had a lot of fun. And we have loved our buy or sell segment. And you've got one last one for me.
One last one.
Yeah, I gotta go back to my bank. I gotta make sure I have all the resources I need because I feel like these are gonna get expensive.
You've been buying a lot.
I have been buying a lot. Listen, I was told out of the Belgium post-game show that I'm the positive one on the show. So I'm in favor of everything. So everything you give us, I'll buy, I'll believe. What do we have today?
So I have a couple. I mean, they're not very creative. I'm gonna say that, but but there could be some spice on it, some spice.
Yeah.
So I know we're gonna talk France-Spain today, but I'm not gonna be here to talk England-Argentina.
Okay.
So I've been listening to some of the pundits
in
London.
Oh.
And they're talking a lot with much confidence about this game. So I was listening to a clip from the good Gary Neville, great pundit, really like him. And he said, I'm confident that England is going to score at least 2 goals to this Argentina. And he was talking about how the center backs and the fullbacks are not great. So my buy or sell for this is, buy or sell, England is going to win by 2 or more goals against Argentina on Wednesday.
I'm going to sell. If you had cornered me in a different way, there's a chance I would have bought it. I think England are favorites. I think they have a right to believe they're favorites. And what you're saying, Gary Neville said, which I didn't watch. I only watched the clips where Roy Keane complains about everything. Otherwise, I don't watch.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
What Roy Keane said and did about Haaland's father, disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
He said he was drinking, and therefore he has no idea. Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure Roy Keane.
No, they hate each other.
Oh, really?
Because he played for Manchester City,
yeah.
and Haaland's father injured Keane
Got it.
one time.
Also,
And then Roy Keane said, when I'm coming back, I'm going to target him. And he came back the next game after him, and he went with studs up to injure him. So there's bitter rivalry. But take it to where Keane took it yesterday. I thought it was pretty lame.
Also, his comments about the referee, his complaints about the referee made it seem like he didn't watch the game. He's like, oh, there were some 50-50s that could have gone this way. It's like there was like the 5 most controversial calls of the World Cup in that match.
Also, he's the Stephen A. of the NBA.
Potentially, yeah.
He talks about the NBA by watching anything.
I mean, he's definitely the Charles Barkley and Shaq of soccer, in which kids these days.
We don't talk bad about Charles here.
Sir Charles, I respect.
Sir Charles,
but he's the best who's ever done it, and everyone else is just copying him. If I was an England fan or an English analyst, I would understand the confidence. I've said over and over again, this Argentina team struggles to tackle an open play in 1v1 in a way that we've never seen for a team at this level, aka a World Cup semifinal. So if it was me, I would believe that Jude Bellingham and Bukayo Saka and probably Morgan Rogers to an extent and Harry Kane will create chances. There is this thing that is happening, this elastic thing, where my guess is in the end, Argentina will find 1% more. And Messi will score in the 93rd minute, and Argentina will win by 1. But I do think we're looking at like a 3-2 game. I would be surprised if it was an extra time. And if I was England, I would look at all the chances that Argentina has conceded and their inability to stop it up by adding Paredes, and it still doesn't get any better, rotating center backs and rotating fullbacks. And I would say that I have a ton of confidence that we're going to create chances.
Okay.
So I'll buy the over 2 goals. 2 goals are over. I guess 1.5 would be my line there. But I'm going to sell that they win by more than 2.
Okay. I see what you did there.
I'm cutting up my portfolio.
You cover all the angles.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Last one, easy. We haven't talked to USMNT for a while here.
We are going to do a special USMNT show that will be coming out on Thursday or Friday, in which we look forward to the future.
So in a parallel universe, and the bracket shapes in a different way, and the USMNT would have faced this Argentina.
Oh, don't do that.
Yes. Buy or sell. This USMNT, the same team we saw against Belgium, would have beaten Argentina.
Sell.
Sell?
Yeah. The performance against Belgium was US imposed. Right? They played poorly. They came out and played soft. They played scared. They were unprepared for the moment. Belgium took advantage of that, but Belgium didn't enforce that. And Belgium came off a run where they had been underwhelming. They had been struggling. They had rotated their stars out. They weren't sure what direction they were going in. So everything we're talking about Argentina was the case about Belgium, and Belgium beat the U.S. 4-1. And so the chance to beat Argentina, yes, of the 4 semifinalists, it would be the one I would want to play. But it is not easier than playing Belgium. And I think if the U.S. would come out and play the way they did, it wouldn't matter who they played.
Okay, that's it.
You agree?
I agree.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought you were going to catch me on that one?
Yes.
Nice. I'm not that positive, I guess. I'm not blindly positive. But hopefully, part of what we'll talk about is hopefully we'll see it in Copa America over the next 2 years. And I'm working up a crackpot Nations League thing, a CONMEBOL CONCACAF crossover that I'm going to introduce on that show when we get ready. But let's talk about the big news of the 24 hours. And it is, if you thought 48 teams was a lot to learn and know, strap in, baby, because we're talking 64. Gianni Infantino has confirmed that FIFA will discuss expanding the Men's World Cup to 64 teams after the 2026 tournament. Now, this story had come out about a year ago because a CONMEBOL executive out of Uruguay had originally proposed this idea. Now, the 2030 World Cup, to our understanding, and it used to be when I talked about things like this, I would say, this is what it is. And it's already been reported. Now, everything around FIFA has become so malleable that I'm just going to say what we think is going to happen. The 2030 World Cup is supposed to start with one match in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. It's a 100-year anniversary of the World Cup. First World Cup ever was played in Uruguay. My guess, this was 10 years ago, I kept making a joke to people that we were going to rent a boat on the River Plate and live there because I thought Uruguay and Argentina would co-host the 2030 World Cup. Just guessing, right? The rotation had come around to South America. it's too big for Uruguay to host by themselves. It's probably too expensive for Argentina to host by themselves. That's the only way to get it done. And it's an anniversary of the 100 years. And Uruguay and Argentina are the birth and growth of the game in South America. The first 30, 40 years, they were playing each other in these fake tournaments and all of that to kind of grow the game. The understanding now is, as a way to skip forward quickly to get Saudi Arabia on the docket back in Asia in 2034, which would, of course, be a quick turnaround from Qatar. But when the money flows, the money flows. Aramco, obviously, the believer in all young players around the world. They're now putting South America on for 3 games to open the 2030 World Cup to skip South America. Then the World Cup goes to Europe and Africa because Morocco, Spain, and Portugal were the other, in theory, based off this year's 101 games would be played. And then you would go to the World Cup in 2034. So as part of that, there was a Uruguayan executive who's pretty high up in CONMEBOL who had proposed expanding the World Cup so that you could get a group in each of Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina, and then you move the rest of the teams over to Europe and Africa. So this report had already been out there, but Gianni Infantino confirmed over the last few days that it is being discussed, it's being researched. His quote was, every nation should have a chance to dream of playing at football's biggest event.
Sure.
I don't know why they don't have that right now, and that the 2026 World Cup, which was the first to expand to 48 teams, was a massive success. He said, when you organize a World Cup, it's important you organize it for the whole world. It's not just Europe and South America, but the entire world effectively. Every nation should be able to dream of taking part of it. We can see that the quality of teams is extremely high, and it's getting higher and higher everywhere in the world. If you don't give smaller countries the chance to participate in the World Cup, they also lose the incentive to keep improving.
So 2 things. Sadly, like you mentioned, I think the only country that could host a World Cup in South America is Brazil.
Yeah,
because the other ones, not even Argentina, have
and they have empty stadiums from 2014.
Infrastructure, yeah. So I'm gonna guess right now that the game that is gonna be played in Argentina is gonna be in Monumental Stadium, River Plate Stadium, and Uruguay is gonna be Centenario, Montevideo. Yeah. I did a World Cup qualifier game there, a broadcast, Venezuela versus Uruguay.
Epic.
I've never been so in awe. Walking into a stadium that in
top
Centenario.
Of my bucket list.
It's unbelievable because it has, I don't know, this was 15 years ago. It was a long time ago. And I don't know if they make changes of it. It's a really old stadium. Mm-hmm. So it needs a lot of work, but it has the capacity. But it's, so when you come out of the locker rooms, there's like around the so between the field and the stands, there's like a water section. It's like a little divider. Yeah. That is, and you go, so you're coming up from the locker rooms, and then there's like a little bridge that takes you over the water part, and you don't see the field or anything until you pass, and then everything opens up, and then you look up, and it's just unbelievable. So I'm really excited to see, because they have to put a lot of work into it, because it's very, very old.
It has had some work recently. Yeah, they did still renovate it.
It's not as the standards that a World Cup demands. So that'll be fun. Second, I just love that good Gianni Infantino says, we're going to study it. We're going to, like it's not already decided. Come on, dude. This is gonna be announced. It's gonna be 64. What I hope, because it doesn't matter getting angry anymore. It's gonna happen. Yeah. Like the 48 team happened, and you can fight it and get angry at it, whatever. What I hope it happens with the 64 is basically 16 groups of 4, top 2 advance to a round of 32, and we are done with the third place. I didn't like the third place situation here on this World Cup, so that's the silver lining that I'm taking. Yeah,
that's the one part it eliminates is it makes it easier to push teams through the World Cup into the next round. It makes the numbers a little cleaner. Now it obviously makes the amount of games unruly, and now you talk again about who can possibly host this. You have to have space for 64 teams to have base camps, to have training facilities. You have to travel them around, and then you have to have stadiums that can host all of these events. And we can tell you, being here in New York, the city shuts Midtown down for the 8 hours around every game. No truck deliveries are allowed in and out of Midtown, and they're closed streets down to run special buses. And all of that workload, I mean, in theory, would be doubled. And that's in New York.
Yeah, well, when the 3 games are done, and then it's Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, but the national teams that are in Europe are not going to move.
For sure, but the
Italy's
3 games is in a scenario, one, where there's only 48 teams, not 64.
Yeah.
So I think the point of the bid is, if there becomes 64, you'd put 3 groups in South America. They would play in South America, then they would travel from there to expand the games. But even then, the load on Morocco, Spain, and Portugal is going to be larger than what it is already because there's more groups, more games.
Yeah.
So the only advantage you have there, quote unquote, is because of the third place teams, you don't increase the amount of games any player has to play from what it is now. So the round of 32 was added for this World Cup. That would be it. It would be 3 group stage games into the round of 32. Because of the way the third place was done, they kind of jerry-rigged it so that it ended up being this tournament. So at least, at a minimum, you're not making it worse by making the players play more games. And that's the real test on that, is going to be on the teams that go deep. If you add more games to the competition and you extend it, now you have a Jude Bellingham who has to play in 8 games to win a World Cup, which is a lot of load to put on a body in an off season where then they go back to their club team.
Yeah. Do you think Italy will be back with 64?
We could talk about that. We have 3 pieces of news to hit. Normally, we like to focus on teams that were at the World Cup, but Michele's here. So we'll talk Paolo Maldini, one of the greats all time in Italian history.
Excuse me. That's bigger news than the other ones that you're going to mention. So let's get that right.
I mean,
The best. Let's start with he's the best defender in the history of the game. You may continue. Start and finish there.
And now he is going to be the technical director of all Italian national teams.
It's without a doubt the best news that Italian soccer and the fans and everything involved, we, and I included, have received in the last decade. Paolo Maldini, it's a great mind, and of course he was a great player, the best defender of all time again. He was very involved, and he was part of the management, and I think he was sporting director or assistant to a sporting director alongside Leonardo when AC Milan was great the last time, when they won the Scudetto with Zlatan on the team. So Paolo Maldini has done a really good job everywhere he has gone as a part of management teams after his post-playing career. Now we have a new president in the Italian Federation who was, until this new job, the president of the Olympic Committee, that during his tenure, Italy has become a powerhouse on the Olympics.
Yeah.
Both summer and winter.
Which we saw when the one they hosted.
Correct. Yeah. And now, his first hire is Paolo Maldini as technical director, and now Paolo Maldini is going to be in charge to hire the coach. The front runners are Roberto Mancini, who I'm not excited about, even though he won the Euro in 2021. Yeah. The other one is Antonio Conte. The issue with Conte is that nobody believes he's going to stay the whole cycle 4 years.
He burns bridges fast.
But this feels like, with this new structure, this feels like we might. I'm not gonna get excited until we start seeing results. This feels like it's, for me and for all the Italian people and fans and everyone in the media, etc. And I guess you guys also, like, people want to see Italy in a World Cup.
They are a big name. They're a giant. And now them losing is fun. And it's a huge meme across the world, and it's enjoyable.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of elements of the Italian game that are pretty bad, so I think people enjoy when those parties lose. And every time they lose and you think it's going to change, these same old men come out and they say something despicable, and then you're like, okay, cool, keep losing. I think that gets tired at some point. Like, I say this, college sports is the biggest example. Like, I didn't grow up with Kentucky being good, and everyone hates Kentucky. And they're like, well, they're giants. And I was like, oh, were they? Because if you're in the wrong time period, aka if you are anyone who remembers soccer from 2007 to now, which is a large amount of people, that's a 19-year gap, you don't know that Italy losing is a meme because that's all you're aware of.
Correct.
So they're not this gigante that falls off.
Correct.
It's more like when people experience Manchester United now. If you have only been watching the game for 10 years, which is a long time, you don't know that Man U used to be a giant and therefore is chasing that. They're just a name that you get talked about a lot. So Italy has a place to play, and there is a romance to the game there, and obviously there's a ton of history there.
Correct.
I don't know that I really care, if I'm being totally honest, except for you. I want you to be happy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So now under this structure, there's a lot of hope, especially because you have a name like Paolo Maldini that cares and bleeds.
And can tell people no, right?
Exactly.
There's clearly there's clearly some rotten nature across the game in Italy. And I think a lot of this is cultural. It's deeper than soccer. It is part of the issues in Italian culture, which is where the country sits between first world, second world, and all these other things that are common conversations outside of the sport.
It was so rotten and so corrupt that it took 3 failed World Cup qualifications for the federation president to be dismissed.
Yeah.
That's how corrupt and rotten was everything inside. So this is literally a new beginning, and hopefully they can work well with the youth teams that are coming up. The U21 in Italy is always good. The U20 is always good. The U19 is always good. U17 is always good. But now it's time to reform everything in Italy, and it starts with having a good structure that affects both the national team structure and the league structure, because the young players need to play. That's one of the big issues. So I'm hopeful, I'm excited, and that's all I can say. All I can do is being hopeful. That's it.
You mentioned 2 coaching rumors there.
Yeah.
Connections. You did not mention Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I was leaving it to you.
Oh, okay. It's been reported that he has been reached out to by Paolo Maldini about potentially taking over Italy. He's resigning from Manchester City. We already know that. So he currently does not have a job coming out of this season. He's considered by many to be the best coach in the world. He has never coached a national team. It feels, I think, to many people obvious that if he's going to coach again, it'll be with the national team. You've coached Barcelona. That's your lifeblood. That's your club.
Yes.
You then went and coached Bayern, best team in Germany, and now you've coached Manchester City. So short of coaching PSG, which probably won't happen with the Luis Enrique's success, there's not really an obvious club for him to go to. And then you move to national team where the intensity of the work is a little bit less, which is, I think, why Jürgen Klopp, who we'll talk about, is choosing to go that route. Now, what's odd for him is Spain are successful. He is Spanish. He played for Spain. It doesn't seem clear like what he brings to the Spanish national team that would be much different, because they're on the verge of going to another World Cup final. They just won the Euros, and there's not really a clear opening that they should fire De La Fuente and bring him on. So if it's not Spain, who is it? And I will say I was shocked to see that it could be Italy.
Well, he has a big relationship with Italian soccer. He played for many years in Italy. Especially, we all remember the Brescia team that had in midfield a young Andrea Pirlo, him, and Roberto Baggio. A team in Brescia that was just fantastic to see. That was pure soccer champagne with those 3 linked up. It was just absolutely beautiful soccer to watch. He vacations a lot in Italy, and he has mentioned in the past that he will be open to coach in Italy.
Interesting.
So when you see the options that are open, Italy will be the best job on paper, because also you instantly become a savior of the program. Yeah. So that's that. Again, I don't know how I feel about Guardiola. I obviously think he's one of the best managers. Of course, I'm not saying anything that it's new of all time, but he hasn't shown that on the national team. And on the same note as Conte, right? Do you trust he's going to marry to a program for at least 4 years?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think, and we saw with Carlo Ancelotti, I think it's tough to assume a club coach becomes a good national team coach.
Yeah.
I think they're two different jobs.
You got to give time Ancelotti a little bit. He took the job less than a year ago.
For sure. But we still don't know if it'll work.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not instant, but that's part of what I would say.
Right.
The cycle it takes to affect the national team is so long because you have so little time to work with them that it has to be 4 years. Because there's no world in which a team plays Pep Guardiola soccer, meeting 3 to 4 times a year within a year or two.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to deal with, one, the downs, because it's probably going to look pretty bad early on. That's probably the next Euros. Then he has to be in it for the long haul for you to then get the ups. And on top of all of that, people, I think, overrate what an international manager can do. The problems in Italy are not the manager of the national team. The manager of the national team should be good enough to get them to a World Cup. But the issues that occur, and you talk about it, the quality at the youth ranks that doesn't get to the senior ranks, that's happening outside of his purview. Now, Pep Guardiola, similar to Maldini, carries such a big presence that he can go into conversations, but he's not sitting there making sure the careers of every U19 player progress through their club teams.
Correct.
So if I'm Pep, I don't know that that's worth my time, where I would look at it and say, Portugal are probably a team that's on the verge of doing something bigger. Can you be the one that accelerates it? And I think those players fit his soccer
They already
even
have
more.
a new coach.
You think Jorge Jesus is hanging on if Pep Guardiola says, I want to be coach of Portugal?
I mean, they already announced him.
I don't disagree with you, but I
Okay.
would say, and
That's
then
bold.
obviously Germany would have been one he would have been connected with after his time at Bayern, but Jürgen Klopp is now taking over there. And so maybe there's not a logical move. The other one would be, if he wanted to, and from a lifestyle point of view, I wouldn't, but he might, is he finished his career playing in Mexico because he wanted to play for Bielsa and he wanted to go to Mexican soccer culture because Bielsa told him to. Would be another nice job for Pep Guardiola to end up in. Move away, probably be a little bit disconnected. Now, what Tata learned is it's way harder than you think it is there, but it would be another one that I think would be on a list if you ask me, where do I think Pep Guardiola ends up? Those would be the teams I would say.
What about the USMNT?
Again, I think a lot of the issues are things that the national team coach doesn't work on, so he would have to decide how much of that work he wants to do. He lived in New York City when he took his sabbatical. I saw him, actually, on the Upper West Side. He was on Central Park West. What's up, Pep? Getting a little falafel with me. But you would never say no to him. He would also cost 8 times more than what the U.S. has to spend.
Yeah.
So they would need to go and get a rich person to pay for it again, and would decide if that's the move they want to make. I mentioned it, Jürgen Klopp taking over Germany. It felt fairly obvious coming out of the World Cup. There was some awkward moments where he was on German TV covering this team, where he made allusions to the fact that he would be the coach. And Nagelsmann, I think, was frustrated by a lot of that. Probably doesn't matter because Julian Nagelsmann didn't get past Paraguay, so what doesn't really matter. It feels like the right fit with Klopp. He has been a revolutionary in German soccer in the past. The way he emerged up through the coaching ranks at Mainz and then into Dortmund. Him and Ralf Rangnick were the two that were promoting gegenpressing, but they were also promoting the concept that tactics could overwhelm talent. And the assumption in Germany before that was talent's the only thing that matters. And there's a really famous television interview from like 2001 in which he and Ralf Rangnick were on a post-game show. Neither of them were very famous, and they talked about their ideas of how a coach can affect a game. And it was like a light bulb moment in Germany. That's obviously a long time ago, but it's Jürgen Klopp's reputation. I also think at some point with the national team, you're talking about culture and you're talking about vibes. Can you make it light for players to be around it? This is what we talked about with Southgate and Tuchel. Can you make it enjoyable for players to be around it? Can you take some of the pressure off? There's only so much tactically you can affect. Can you make it something so that players feel like they can perform their best? And famously, I think that's one of Jürgen Klopp's best attributes.
But Dara, I've learned with the USMNT and with Greg Berhalter, especially when he came back, that is a very thin, dangerous line. When you give the player too much comfort and too much liberty when you come to the national team.
Yeah.
We saw that.
Yeah.
And that's specifically why Mauricio Pochettino, as soon as he came here, he said several times, the first thing that I need to change is the mentality of this group. So that's a very thin line. Do I think Klopp is going to be like, do whatever you guys want? No, of course not. but he will be. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, both of them in person, but what I can sense and seeing Klopp, the way he handles himself when he was coaching Liverpool, is that he's gonna be way more softer than Nagelsmann.
With Nagelsmann, the problem was there wasn't the reward on the other side, right? Like people listened to Sir Alex Ferguson when he was an asshole because then he made the right coaching moves and then you won.
Right.
Nagelsmann doesn't win. He hasn't won for a while. He's never won big things. So he has an air about him because he's this, boy genius. But Klopp brings a level of respect, I think, from that room that is different. It'll be fascinating to see his Dortmund connections. How many Dortmund players is he calling up? Does that start to get tagged a little bit? He also is someone who has historically played a lot of young players. There's a line where you kind of can't coach. Again, you can't pull a guy who you think's better than his club team thinks he is, because if they're not experienced, they're not ready to play. But Leonard Carl, who was injured for this World Cup, should be the future of that national team. And we'll talk more about this as we go forward. And then the other one, the reports very heavily, is that Diego Forlan is going to take over as both the U20 and the senior national team coach for Uruguay to replace Bielsa.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I have never seen or heard anything about Diego Forlan being a coach.
Yeah. He is from,
I honestly don't know what to make of
so
that.
he is from, I want to say this right, but he is from a royalty family. So his family, I believe he's the third generation national team player for Uruguay. And I think his entire family also has worked in the upper levels of the game as well. So he comes from this sort of executive Uruguayan football culture. He obviously then played at a really high level.
I mean, I know that Enzo Francescoli, it has a big time name, and he was a big time player. But if we take what Diego Forlan did on his club career in Europe with Manchester United, Atletico Madrid, and what he did for Uruguay on a World Cup, on multiple World Cups, you're talking about potentially the best Uruguayan player of all time. Am I wrong?
No. Uruguay has a weird history, so he's probably not, because you're talking about guys in the 1930s and 1920s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
of the modern era,
yeah, for sure.
It's like him and Recoba.
Yeah.
Those are the two. I guess Diego Godin. But all that's debatable. He's in that conversation. And I think he carries as much respect as anyone in the Uruguayan football world. And again, back to the same combo 3 times.
Yeah.
I think culture matters. Yeah. I think coaching tactics matter less, especially with Uruguay, where there's so little you can do because the talent pool is pretty small.
Yeah.
And if he's coaching at the youth ranks, he's learning these guys and help progress them through, which was a key to Peckerman turning Colombia around. Was Peckerman coached at the Olympic and U20 levels and got to know the players, and he pushed them into the senior national teams early enough that James Rodriguez could pop. And I think we saw it happen as well in Uruguay when post 02, 06 failures, they started to turn things around. There was a top-down coaching group that was around all of the teams, so they were around the players as much as possible. So that part makes a little bit of sense. But Forlan, it's going to be a shot in the dark. There's a really good chance he's completely unqualified, and we realized that in 2 years at Copa America.
And we've also seen on big nations, and I'm going to give the example of Germany under Jürgen Klinsmann, that it also helps how good you surround yourself with your working staff.
Yeah.
We got to remember that Klinsmann Germany that lost the semifinal at home in 2006 to Italy, it was heavily assisted by Joachim Löw, who then became the coach and then took Germany to the next step. So as long as Forlan surrounds, and I'm not putting into question that he can be a great coach. I just don't know.
Yeah.
So if you're new to it and you surround yourself with good people and a good training staff and a good technical director and people that could oversee what you cannot, why not?
Yeah.
It might work out.
All right. Let's move into the games coming up. We are roughly 24 hours away from Spain kicking off against France. It is going to be one of the biggest games, I said, probably of our lifetimes. They are the top 2 teams coming into this competition. Spain are the reigning champions in Europe. France now, this is their third straight World Cup semifinal. They went to back-to-back finals. They won it in 2018, and they have played at the highest level of any team coming into this World Cup and came in as the number one ranked team in the FIFA rankings. It'll be 3 p.m. Eastern time in Dallas for this one to start. For France, it was fairly comfortable in the end against Morocco. Now, there's one thing that stands out to me, which was Morocco didn't play with a center forward. We talked about it. And so everything they did was hard. And everything they did had to be tight combinations playing through France's shape. I don't think it actually went terribly for Morocco. The problem was when they got to the middle third, they couldn't break out. It didn't lead to anything.
Yeah.
Spain, of course, is a team that wants to pass around you. They want to play in possession, but they also have Arathabal, who can give you a centerpiece, and Lamine Yamal, or potentially Nico Williams, who can stretch the field for you. So this is, I think, a similar matchup for France. It's just at an even elevated, higher level.
Yeah, and we saw it when the last time they faced each other on the Nations League semifinal. Mm-hmm. The game ended at 5-4. Yeah. So we predict it's going to be an open game because these are two teams that like to have the ball and leave open spaces. And I think we already know what the starting 11 of France will be. Should be the same that beat Morocco. But I'm fascinated to what Luis de la Fuente is going to do because we've seen that Spain, they've been really good in the tournament, but they haven't been the Spain that we all expected, but they've still been very, very good. And some of that is, and we talk about this, like the last two games, Oyarzabal hasn't been sharp up top. And he's not a presence in the box. So sometimes when your typical game, when you pass the ball 50 times and you murder the rival with 1,000 cuts, and then Oyarzabal comes and makes a run and finishes, we didn't see that against Portugal and against Belgium, right?
Yeah.
So, and Spain didn't have an answer for that because they don't have a player like Alvaro Morata in the past that gave you that different game plan, right? The game plan was putting basically midfielders like Merino or Ferran Torres, who's more a winger, but players that are like just run at you, crash the box, right? And like Merino, the two times he came in, he just like a loose ball and he just basically taps it in. I'm very interested in the choices that Luis de la Fuente makes because when we see the lineup that he played against France on the last game, he played Merino, Pedri, and I'm blanking their name, but it's Rodri wasn't there, right? So
you're saying last year?
On the 5-4 game that that Spain wins. Do you want more legs? Do you want more physicality at midfield, or you sacrifice that and keep playing Dani Olmo, who's more offensively minded player, but is gonna give you less defensively, to match up the very physical nature of France with Kone and Rabiot.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I mean, I'm not saying anything super deep here, but the midfield and the choices that Luis de la Fuente makes, I think they're gonna dictate this game.
It was Zubamendi in the last game. So it was Marino, Pedri, and Zubamendi, which I think does show, even in the 5-4 loss, that he was trying to go a little bit safer. And we talked about this. If you played Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, and Rodri, neither of them is a true natural 10 who's going to float and only try and attack.
Correct.
All of them are capable of playing the final ball. All of them are capable of being a late runner and finishing on a pullback from the top of the box, which is a huge factor in Spain's game model. But it maybe makes you a little bit safer because Pedri, for maybe the lack of work he does as an 8, as a 10, it's a pretty high level of work. I thought this quote was fascinating from Unai Simon. He was asked by a journalist how Pedri was doing because Pedri didn't start in the last game. And he said, "Are you asking because he didn't play?" And he said, "Of course, he's extraordinary." And Unai Simon goes, "And Fabian?" And the journalist goes, "Pedri's a global figure." And he goes, "Fabian's won 2 Champions League in a row." And I think that is the feeling in the team, which is all of these guys are good enough to win at this level.
Correct.
And for all of what we talk about with profiles of players, and you have to have Pedri on the field because Pedri's world class. You have to have Williams if he's healthy on the field because he was your difference maker in 24. I think the feeling in the group is all of these guys can play, and all of them can make a difference. And Fabian Ruiz, of course, scores in the last game, which is not why he's in the team, but it showed that he can read the game and affect the game in a similar way, and he covers a ton of ground. So I wouldn't be shocked if it was the three of them. There's also a chance that you slide Danny Olmo out wide, if that's the case, rather than starting Baena, if Williams can't go from the start, because he will play direct. He will stretch the field. He'll also come inside if Yamal is able to get to the end line and be a second finisher for you in those moments. And you do need to pin France's fullbacks back a little bit. So I think there's a couple different options De La Fuente has in there, but no matter what, Spain has to dominate possession because they can't defend against this France team deep. It's just not the natural state for most of these players. They're players who always play on the front foot. They're players who are most comfortable playing going forward. Where they're going to be exposed is the mistakes they make and how much they try and take risks to create the chances. On the flip side for France, you mentioned it. For the most part, the starting lineup set. I think Kone and Chouameni is like really the only decision to make, and then Doué and Barcola.
After the game Morocco, I think Kone.
You think Doué starts over Barcola as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think why not? And especially Kone. I thought he was the best on the field against Morocco, and I'm glad you mentioned the fullbacks because France fullbacks. People see them as maybe their weak point, especially Digne on the left side.
Yeah,
and that's
who just got signed by PSG.
And that's where Lamine Yamal attacks, right? So, and we saw against Belgium, he wasn't very effective, but Spain, Spain has options to deal with Lamine Yamal attacking and not having to worry on defense. The same way as France doesn't have to worry with Doué or Dembele attacking because because they can cover space, and that's where I'm saying that Kone was the best on the field because every time we saw, especially Digne going forward against Morocco, Kone slide on the left side to cover ground.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a change in the way Spain's attack because against Belgium we saw Pedro Porro and Lamine Yamal both at the same time attacking and overlapping each other, that left side of Belgium, which the Kuipers did a great job. But I don't see Pedro Porro going as wide and as forward as he did against Belgium because one, you have Lamine Yamal, and two, you have to deal with Doué or Barcola on that side.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with Cucurella. On that side is Dembele attacking you. So it's all of this to say this game is on the margins, like the smallest margins. I wouldn't be. Of course, I've said France is the prohibited favorite before the tournament start, and if we have to match both teams, I will say like France is slightly favorite. But I wouldn't be shocked if Spain wins because Spain, and the last time they played, Spain won. So I think this is just going to be decided by the smallest of mistakes. But hopefully we get like another 5-4 game like we saw in Nations League.
All right. The World Cup takes a breather. You can still bring the game home with the Trianda Pro on soccer.com. Get yours today at soccer.com, your destination for the official match ball of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. You can get custom game match balls if you're going to get one. France versus Spain in a World Cup semifinal in what are maybe the two best teams matching up before a World Cup final that we've ever seen in the history of the game. This is probably the one you're going to want to do it for. And in saying that, you just talked through the margins. Give me the prediction. France versus Spain, 2026 World Cup semifinal. The winner will be, and by what score?
All right,
I'll go first.
Sorry.
I think that Spain wins in penalty kicks after a 2-2 game. I think Spain controls the game. I think they get cut open early on a counterattack to go down 1-0. Then they push and they push and they push. They equalize. They take a lead. France takes control. They score the goal. Both these teams play out a dramatic extra time, and Spain goes through on penalty kicks after a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, my doubt is because I'm fighting myself here because I've been praising France.
You said France against the field.
France
you take
against
France,
the field.
Yeah.
But I really like Spain in this game.
Okay.
I really do.
Wow, are we both picking Spain?
Yeah.
Congratulations to France for winning the World Cup semifinal because both of us picked Spain. The two guys who
You're
picked
welcome,
Colombia
French people.
in a World Cup final, we have officially cursed you. We will talk more tomorrow afternoon about the big Argentina against England game. You said it. You won't be on tomorrow. You gave it us a little bit in the buy or sell. Any early thoughts about that game as you're getting ready for Wednesday?
England over 2 goals.
Okay. And winning?
No. England winning.
Oh, by 2 goals or more.
Yeah, I didn't phrase that right. England wins with a comfortable margin of 2 or more goals.
Wow.
Argentina is done at this World Cup.
Either way, you can find Michele on social media.
I'm pretty sure
you can always flood
well.
us if you've got responses to what Michele said. Michele, It's been a blast. You're going to be back around hanging out with us, but you have to go to El Tráfico this weekend.
MLS is back, baby.
You'll be at where? Is it Carson or is it in whatever it's called now? BMO.
It's in Carson.
Okay.
In Health Dignity Sports Park.
The cultural home of Major League Soccer.
Hey, one of the originals, hey?
It is. It is where Belgium ended up training going into their World Cup quarterfinal against Spain because they complained about their other one. It's been a blast. It's always fun to talk.
Thank you. It's been the greatest, most fun 3 weeks, almost a month.
Yeah.
It's been great sharing and talking World Cup with you guys. And yeah, thank you for having me. To all the production team and all the people here for trusting me with the content and being here. And I'm excited for people to now pick it up after the World Cup and go to MLS. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I'm going to be Friday on the Spanish broadcast of El Tráfico LAFC, Galaxy, because they're home, against LAFC. You can watch it on Fox. You can watch it on MLS on Apple TV in English, but I will suggest if you want to support your boy to watch it on the Spanish broadcast with Sami Sadovnik and Diego Valeri. In Spanish, it's always more fun.
All the
and
Telemundo stands out there now can come over to you. Everyone who was an Owen Wilson fan is now watching Michele in Spanish.
So I'll see you there.
And we don't stop. We don't slow down. As I said, we've got the post-game show coming up tomorrow. We have this special USMNT segment we're going to do looking forward, which is going to become one of our staples here at SoccerWise. Myself and Tom recording an MLS return show that's going to be coming out ahead of the games, which start on Thursday night. Jordan Angeli is with Jill once again this week to talk NWSL, coming out of a dramatic weekend of action, including KC falling apart down in Orlando. We will, of course, have more First Touch coverage, which is our global game coverage. We'll talk about some of these big stories around national team coaches and all the different teams going forward. We'll talk about the futures in each of the regions coming out of the World Cup, and then we've got a lot more content ready for you all. So thank you once again to Michele for being here with me. It has been a blast. Big shout out to Derek, Theo, Morgan in studio with us today, and of course to Connor as well. And we'll talk to you all again very, very soon.